Hey all, Alex here at your home of the Music Deep Dive, and today we'll be doing a review of the 1844 novel by Alexandre Dumas, The Three Musketeers. Dumas de Vie de la Pailletterie, best known by his pen name Alexandre Dumas, born the 24th of July 1802 in Villers-Cotterêts, Picardy, died the 5th of December 1870 in Dieppe, Normandy. Initially a playwright following a brief legal career, Dumas switched to writing historical novels in the late 1830s and 1840s, less because he wanted to provide accurate understanding of the times and more because he wanted to use those historical eras as a framework for his extravagant narrative tales. While the majority of his most famous writing was done in Paris, Dumas spent time hopping between other European countries trying to deal with, avoid, financial concerns brought on by his extravagant overspending, and as a result, his later works were mainly travelogues and essay writing designed to pay the bills. Even with his somewhat erratic career arc, and in spite of Dumas being a mixed-race man who did receive criticism of his ancestry, if not overt racism, the man died with one of the most entrenched legacies of any French author, mainly thanks to two books, one of which we'll be reviewing very soon, and this one, The Three Musketeers. Good lord, this book is so much fun. And so energetic. I haven't read a book with this much kinetic energy in its plot for some time. Dumas is so good at giving his characters something new to do, some new goal to attain, but it never feels episodic because it's all connected to this central goal that our characters, and us the readers, are all invested in. That goal is the recruitment of our main character, D'Artagnan, into the Musketeers, the main bodyguards of King Louis XIII, and we get to see D'Artagnan meet and grow close with the three principal Musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis. The bond that grows is probably one of Western literature's most famous friendships, a fantastic and entertaining main character genuinely connecting with these three vivid side characters into this unified force of chivalry and justice and entertainment. All of these characters have a backstory that so effectively describes their personalities, even though in the case of some characters, like Athos especially, that backstory is revealed gradually through the course of the novel. The banter is effective and often genuinely funny between the bunch of them, and when D'Artagnan is first accepted into the group, it feels well-earned and not rushed or forced at all. It's just such well-paced development overall in this plot. About D'Artagnan specifically, I think he is a perfect example of how to make a protagonist flawed, but in a way that doesn't grate or cause the plot to drag. He is a hefty combination of noble and naive, and his heart is always in the right place, which very often gives him a clarity to problem solving that his comrades don't have, but sometimes his heart overwhelms his common sense, and that's a trait that continues actually right until the end of the book. Even with that, though, you do see a lot of growth in his character and how he's able to sort of gain his senses after the fact, and you come away from the story believing he's a young man going in the right direction, if not necessarily someone who has his life figured out. It's a perfect setup for sequels, and there were some, which we may get to soon, but we'll definitely talk about at some point down the line. I can't stop focusing on the characters. I could talk about these characters all day. The Musketeers, the servants, the royalty and government. Cardinal Richelieu is a fascinating villain, not quite impervious or impossible to pin down, but you don't get the sense that he's been completely vanquished at the end either, which I think is really cool. But I have to talk about the main villain of the story, not Richelieu, Milady de Winter. She's mostly only mentioned by name for the first half of the book, but when she comes into the fray and you see D'Artagnan, then these other characters interacting with her, holy shit. She is so manipulative, so clever, so compelling. The definition of a psychotic bitch, if you pardon my French, and what makes her arc all the more amazing is how she is initially taken down and apprehended, and you kind of think that the main back and forth. The main plot of the book has resolved itself, but then she manages to wiggle her way out of it and succeed with carrying out her evil plan anyway. This was published as a serial, like so many novels were at the time, and I can only imagine what French audiences' reactions were once they realized the direction Milady's story was going in. It pads the book length a bit, but I am hooked for all of it. I am there, man. And again, what it comes down to is pacing. Dumas knows how to move from scene to scene and how to ensure the action sequences that happen aren't there for the sake of it, although there is one kind of gratuitous scene that I love, where the Musketeers make a point of having a picnic on a battlefield and are just casually fighting off civilian soldiers while having a conversation over some wine. I just love how they approach it. They just see these soldiers coming and they're like, oh, should we leave? And then Athos or whoever is like, no, we haven't finished our wine yet. Let us fend them off and get back down to brass tacks. It's so good. This is exactly what I want out of an adventure novel. Compelling characters that get to pilot a plot through these wild scenes towards a clear end destination, and also with writing that is as lively as the plot. Never especially dense. I don't think the prose is Dickens level or anything, but it doesn't need to be, and I think it would do the story a disservice by having the writing become too flowery. It's just an absolute barn burner of a novel, and as swashbuckling fiction is concerned, this rates among the very best ever. Many of you have read this, I'm sure, but if you haven't, read it, prioritize it, enjoy it, and if you have, reread it. Allow yourself that little bit of escapism. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy this book when you give it a read, because you should. God damn it. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, more reviews are to come. Tell a friend as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here at your home of the Music Deep Dive.